Living in derelict buildings has become a way of life for many poor families in Joburg's inner city. A recent High Court ruling has put a stop to their eviction. But the fight for somewhere to live for thousands of residents is far from over.
Determined to transform Jozi into a world-class city by 2030, Johannesburg embarked on a series of forced removals of poor people from inner city buildings. The red ants became a familiar sight.
Our eviction orders are not intended to put people on the streets. Our eviction orders are there, which the sheriffs of the court execute, because the building is not habitable.
These evictions aren't actually about health and safety at all, but it's actually about telling poor people in a not so subtle way that the city has no place for them in the inner city.
Multi-story San Jose is close to Hillbrow. It's become a symbol of the fight between Joburg and its poor. On the one hand, the city determined to clean up its bad buildings. On the other, residents clinging to the roofs over their heads.
The city doesn't want us here. They don't want us here. They only want us when they want us to vote for them.
Why don't they want you here?
That we are too dirty, we are too poor. And then we must go to Sabc3 in Soweto. This is South Africa. We belong here. Where must we go?
The buildings that we closely define as bad buildings are the ones that pose a health risk, and it's also a safety risk for people that actually live in them.
In the Sabc3, there's fires, there's water, there's whatever in the Sabc3 there. Same as here. That place is dirty than here. And we are making our living in town here.
For the past 2 years, San Jose has been on the list of buildings the city wants to upgrade. But the stumbling block has been the more than 300 residents who live here.
In the second floor.
Nelson Katani is one of the leaders of the San Jose community. He was willing to show us around.
We are patrolling here from 11 to 3:30, sometimes to 4. We chase people that are sleeping in the garage here. Always we beat them. There's no customers at home. There's no work there. Here, you go out, you go and sell in the station, your customers come. You buy, at least you've got 12 rand, 20 rand, 30 rand a day. Here, you try on your own. You make your own living.
San Jose is a sectional title building, and so you didn't have one owner there. You had 90-odd different owners. As the original tenants started to sublet because of the demand for accommodation in the inner city, the more hands the money had to pass through, the more likely, or the less likely it was to get to the people who supplied the water and the electricity and employed the security guards and then cleaned up the building. The building carried on to decline because there was no central management, and the water and electricity was finally terminated to the building somewhere around 2003.
The residents themselves have since cleaned up their building under the supervision of Nelson and his committee.
Look, this is the original key that the owner of this flat gave me. Look, I'm opening with my own key. With the keys, the original keys. So I'm staying now. I'm staying here. Now, there's my bedroom this side. That's why I stay. This is my bedroom, main bedroom.
Nelson introduced us to Kombisile Kumalu. She lives on the 3rd floor with her husband and 3 children.
There's no water, and then you have to go around backing into these flats. Like what we are doing now, we are backing all over the place because down there where we used to go and fetch water, municipality closed because we told them that we can't get water there. So they closed the tap.
Her husband, Mboweni Shabalala, is a street vendor. To supplement their meager income, she and her sister make cushions. They all come from rural KwaZulu-Natal.
Kombisile and the husband, they are staying here. They've been chased downtown by this municipality, closed down the building. So from there, they came looking for a place to stay. So they talked to us, as we said then, yes, the place is empty, you can go through, you can stay in that flat. Everybody that comes in here has to via us first. Because we don't just put everybody, Jack and Jill, taking the street, put it in here. We check a person first, how, you see.
And do they pay money?
No, they don't. The only money that we collect from them, it's for cleaning only. Plastics and the brooms and whatever.
So how much are you collecting from people?
2 rand each house.
Around the corner from San Jose are these 4 abandoned houses. 130 people live here, and the city planned to evict them. Shacks have also been built on the properties.
Hi, Angelina. How are you doing?
We met up with WITS researcher Stuart Wilson and Shariza Sibanda from Inner City Resource Centre. They're helping residents fight ongoing efforts to remove them.
And then I can see this is not the right place to stay, but it's because of situation. We are suffering. We are not working. We haven't got a place to stay. That is why I'm staying here.
And people who live in the inner city generally have access to livelihoods in the inner city. They pump petrol, they clean and guard buildings, they recycle commercial waste, they're hawkers on the inner city streets. So on the one hand, you've got people who are essential to the inner city economy, but on the other hand, you're saying to them, because you're failing to provide for them in the inner city, you can't live here. You've got to go out to the urban periphery. Well, if you do that, you're spending a huge proportion of your income on transport getting in and out of the inner city every day.
Last month, the city of Johannesburg applied for eviction orders for these and other properties. But a ruling by a High Court judge, Judge Bai, put a halt to all evictions. The judge ruled that before the city can evict, it must provide adequate housing for those unable to support themselves and their dependents.
The prime constitutional argument is that it is not permissible, it's not constitutionally permissible, if you're the state, to seek the eviction of large numbers of poor people where you don't have a rational plan to reaccommodate them.
So we won the case against the municipality. Now I understand they appealed against the judgment. So now we don't know what is going to happen again. People are living in fear. We are living in fear of being evicted here, and we don't have nowhere to go.
After the break, the worst building in Johannesburg. Madsen Court is in the heart of Joburg. It's one of the city's worst buildings. Just walk in front of us. A resident named David shows us around. We are greeted by the stench of human waste and rotten garbage. Is somebody living there?
Yeah, because it's closed there. Maybe they are inside.
Some of the walls in this high-rise building are missing. This makes it dangerous to use the stairs, especially at night.
And I'm not working, and I've got wife and I've got children, back home. I don't like to stay here, but I don't have money to pay rent because I'm not working.
And I'm just looking for money to eat only. The rest, I know I come and lie down here, you see. I can pick up boxes outside and then come with them, put them nicely arranged, and then I sleep.
Last month, a fire broke out here. Packed with illegal immigrants, 12 people died. Survivors were given temporary shelter at the Metro Evangelical Services building.
And as we're approaching winter, we know there are going to be many fires that are lit in these office blocks that have been converted into illegal housing. So people actually take their lives into their own hands.
There are fire risks, there are health risks. But the question is, how do you address that? Do you address it by throwing people out onto the streets with nowhere else to go? Or do you address it by providing people who have to live in those buildings because there's nothing else, they can't afford anything better, with alternative accommodation which is decent, safe and habitable?
Genewell House is another abandoned building. People are living here with no water or electricity.
On this building we've been staying for a long time. Okay, we've been paying rent before.
James Mahila is one of the committee members. They run the day-to-day affairs of the building.
Because of the owner doesn't pay all the rent and everything. The electricity cut off and the water cut off. We keep water, we close the gate about 10 o'clock during the night till we open it about 5:30.
The building is raining, no water, it's dark.
They've tried their level best to go to the council, ask if the water can be opened so that they can pay the rent, since the owner was no longer there to help them, but with no success at all. And so they decided it's better for us to stay in here than to stay in the streets where we're exposed as women to rapes, exposed to the cold weather outside there. The people who are staying in these buildings have been staying here for a long time, and they've been paying rentals, paying for services to the owners and to the managing agencies. But those people were not honoring the payments to the service providers, and they were not maintaining the properties. When they felt that their pockets were full, then they decided to run away and leave the tenants in the buildings. So the tenants, with lack of knowledge how to manage the buildings, they just said like that and say, oh, the guy's gone, nobody that will pay the rent from. And whenever they went, if there's a cut-off, to go to the city council and say, can you help us, we need water, we are prepared to pay, they're always told to go and look for the owners of the buildings.
Okay, what's happening, there's a fixed amount rent. All right.
The city is also targeting so-called hijack buildings, leaving paying tenants extremely vulnerable.
The rent from individuals in a room.
We met Hendrik de Klerk, who works with the authorities to take back buildings like this one. He explains the strategy used by hijackers.
They kick the security companies out, they replace them with their own aggressive, unregistered security companies, guards, and that's how they take control from the buildings. Our general manager was killed 2 years ago with his bodyguard here in Hillbrow, going to one of our hijacked buildings. It's a dangerous game.
But it's also a lucrative business.
A lot of money. You take a building with 100 units, they collect 1,000 rand from each unit. It's 100,000 tax-free in their pocket per month. A year, 1.2 million.
Nilesh Bana is the frustrated owner of another hijacked building on Illof Street.
I purchased a building in late 2003 with the intention of expanding our current business. So on ground level, we've got 5 legal tenants, and on the second and third floor, we've got, on record, there's about 48 so-called illegal tenants. Well, I heard that they have a committee formed and they're collecting the money, but nothing is being paid forward to me. We've given them notice. We've given them sufficient time to find alternate accommodation to move out. Well, so far, with regards to lawyers' fees, it's in excess of 100,000 rents already, and we're still looking like we're not succeeding.
After the break, any room for the poor? Metro Evangelical Services is a community-based Christian organization. It provides care for the inner city poor.
We are mainly dealing with the homeless community, assisting to their basic needs from a day-to-day basis.
Most of these people have been victims of evictions.
We were evicted also there, to the street. Always we were being evicted to the street, without a place to stay.
One would find that many of these people, the moment they have been evicted, are so innovative that they find other accommodation.
You simply move the problem around the inner city. You chase people from one bad building to another. Practically, that does nothing to eliminate slum living in the inner city.
Europa Hotel was once a child prostitution den. Today, it's a model housing project for low-income groups.
Our vision is to change the heart of the city, and we really want to see in what way, on a holistic manner, from giving food to providing housing at Medulla Mall, to see in what way we can really uplift the person, take him out of the street and put him back into society, where he can at least earn some income, and where he can maybe have his own flat or house maybe.
In 2004, Medulla Mall got the tender from the city of Johannesburg to manage this place. Transitional housing people can only stay for 12 months. They share a room, so they pay per bed, and they pay 150 rand per bed per month. Communal housing is a little bit up from transitional housing. This is a typical communal room. This is where people have got shared facilities like kitchens and shared bathrooms with other tenants. Here they are paying 650 rand a month. Then plus the utilities, which come to another about 200 rand a month, so it's about 800 rand average. And usually people share a room like that.
I think one of the biggest problems that social housing institutions face is to keep our rentals as low as possible, these utility rates. And we've got huge fights with utility providers such as Joburg Water. This building, the Europa Hotel, was previously a hotel, so we are still getting charged at commercial rates.
Europa House is an example of what can be done. However, most of the city's social housing projects cater for higher income groups.
What we are trying to do is to try and provide the housing through agencies, through housing companies, through Section 21 companies, and even through our own housing resources to provide housing for a cross-section of income earners. We've got the Johannesburg Housing Company that are busy with their Brickfields project, and they've had a number of buildings in the inner city.
The Brickfields development is a social housing development and is only really viable for people who earn... Most people in a development like that would have to earn upwards of 3,500 rand a month. What the city should be doing is developing accommodation for people who earn 1,000 rand a month, 500 rand a month. The average income of people on these properties is 400 rand a month. Now, of course, they'll say that's not financially viable, but that's exactly what the state is there to do. It's there to step in where the market fails. It's there to guarantee basic constitutional rights for people who can't afford them.
San Jose is also part of the city's housing plans. The recent court judgment has for now put these plans on hold.
The owner of this building is the same as that one. Their interest is here. They want this building. You have to have 2,000 deposit plus 300 levy and a rent 1,500 a month. So we here, we cannot afford this kind of money. That's a huge amount of money. They want to renovate it and put us to rent for life, tenants for life. Their interest is here. We just parkers must go out and sleep in the street.
One must look at the positive side. Every time that an eviction takes place, There is a plan behind that building. That building is improved. It would then provide suitable accommodation afterwards. And the more buildings that we improve, the more availability there is in terms of the housing market. So unfortunately, we are going to have to go through this phase.
There's nothing in principle wrong with that. It's the extent to which that process excludes people earning less than about £3,500 a month, of whom there are an awful lot in the inner city.
We don't want to stay free. We don't want to stay for free. What we say, we are saying here. Why don't this guy provide us with, tangible places for us poor people to stay in? We meet them halfway, they meet us halfway.
Every Sunday morning, San Jose residents are to be found cleaning in and around their building. They say they're still waiting for the city to deal with their sewage problem.
This is the upper garage where the judge came in. That he pointed out to the municipality people that they must come and fix the pipes here.
We had undertaken to provide certain services free of charge. We intend sticking to that. We are looking at the resources that are required because it's an ongoing problem in many of the buildings. Pumping out sewage from one building today and it gets flooded in a week's time is not the solution. We need to find a long-term solution. What we are doing is trying to improve the social conditions under which people live. If one cannot economically develop the inner city, and particularly the city of Johannesburg, create the jobs, those people are going to remain poor. And as a sphere of government, there is a statutory requirement for us to implement our own bylaws and also implement the laws of the country.
Again, if you look at how the city responds to unhealthy and unsafe shack settlements outside the inner city, it doesn't go in and evict people from their shacks. There are 209,000 shacks in the Johannesburg municipality's area of jurisdiction. It's not about health, it's not about safety, it's about a capitalist model of regeneration that has no room for the poor.
Inner city poor should be evicted. SMS agree or disagree to 34383. You can also SMS the word truth plus your comments.